rescue. Just briefly, I want to give you a little bit of background. My name is Jason Cook. I'm former president of Animal Charity Humane Society. They're the humane society that serves Mahoney County. I've been an animal advocate for the state of Ohio going on 6 years. I serve on the board of directors for Falcon Animal Rescue and also on a member of 4 grassroots organizations. I speak regularly at Columbus concerning House bills and Senate bills regarding animal law. I go to several schools and talk to kids about interacting with animals and how to treat animals with respect. And of course I work on breed discrimination legislation, and I also work on anti-tethering legislation. I'm sure you saw, probably just within the last few weeks, a lot of in the news about tethering, specifically in Girard. And it is a problem. I don't think it's a big problem in Poland Village, but I think it's better to take a proactive approach and get something in place so that it doesn't become a problem. For those of you who aren't aware, Ohio really doesn't have anything that designates a companion animal as not being prevented from being tethered. As long as it has provided adequate food, good wholesome food, shelter, the dog can stay out there in any kind of inclement weather. It could be a weather advisory, it could be 110 degrees out. As long as it's abiding by these basic laws, then humane societies, they really can't do anything to help the animal. And if the animal is licensed, has its rabies shot, then the dog pound really can't get involved. So there's not much in place right now to help these animals. Now, Ohio is a rural state or an agricultural state, and we face an uphill battle constantly trying to get animal laws passed. Currently down in the House, there is some talk about a tethering law that would apply across the state of Ohio. My hopes for that passing are not very good. But,
Excuse me, Dave, describe tethering.
Tethering, that would be like a chain, a rope, a pulley attached to a dog and usually attached to an immovable object like a doghouse, a rock. I've seen bumpers, tree stumps. That would be tethering. Limiting the mobility of a dog has a limited radius. Okay, and then there's also penning and caging where the dog is kept.
Is that included?
In what I'm proposing, yes.
Okay.
So the penning and the caging would be a confined area where the animal obviously has limited space to roam around and still isn't afforded protection from the elements.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no problem. So what I would like to do is, as I said, Ohio allows for municipalities to have home rule, and they can enact ordinances that, as long as they're not in conflict with state law, they can pass these a lot faster than we can ever get things done on the state level. Last year, the city of Youngstown passed a ordinance regarding tethering of dogs, and just recently, Boardman Township implemented a tethering ordinance regarding dogs. And I think that's the approach that we need to take. I've seen far too many cases of these animals being subjected to unnecessary cruelty because we can't get anything passed at the state level. And you as council members have the power to make change and put ordinances in place that protect these animals. Now, as Mr. Davalito mentioned, I also work with breed discrimination. Now, last year in Canfield, Ohio, Canfield had a ban on Pit Bull Terrier and Pit Bull Terrier mixes. Unfortunately, a dog was forced to be removed from a home. I don't remember what month it was. Subsequently, council revisited the issue, and they lifted the ban in place of a breed-neutral ordinance. In other words, they're not specifying which type of dog. I then went to Youngstown, met with their law director, and the city of Youngstown repealed their Pit Bull Terrier ban. There's currently, Girard has a Pit Bull ban, and then Struthers, Poland, and Columbiana, they don't have bans, but they have restrictions, and they have designations as these dogs being vicious without any provocation, just because of how they look, because they have big heads or whatever their reputation is. I went through section 618 of your ordinances quite thoroughly, and specifically its designation of requiring insurance for someone to have a Pit Bull Terrier, and also its designation that they be declared vicious upon ownership. And I would encourage council to allow us to present legislation that would take away that designation, because it does nothing for another large dog like a shepherd, a husky, a Rottweiler. It's simply for this one. And, you know, insurance, I understand, but that's kind of like a reactive approach. Somebody's already been bit, somebody's already been injured, okay? And somebody could come and say, well, why are you just focused on not this dog? Why wasn't it on Rottweilers? Why wasn't it on these other large breed dogs? And so our goal is to say, let's not look at the dog and what kind of dog it is. Let's look at the behavior of the dog. Let's look at how the dog is kept. Let's look at the dog's record. And let's put something in place that protects the people and is also fair to the dogs as well. So, and where tethering, where that plays a part in is, I mean, we all see dog attacks on the news, and they're horrific. But so many of these animals are just, they're abused, they're victimized, and most likely, they're always tethered 24/7. And when I mentioned the bumper, that's not an exaggeration. And the chains, I mean, if you can imagine, chains possibly this thick, maybe only about this long, and that's their life. And then, you know, somehow these dogs get free, they've not been socialized, and unfortunate incidents occur. And you guys can really take steps to protect the citizens of Poland Village, and like I said, help these animals in the process. You know, I brought with me some proposed ordinances regarding tethering. Also with, I've looked over your vicious dog ordinances. Another thing I noticed in section 618 is that you designate that if somebody has a pit bull terrier that it's a misdemeanor, but you have no recourse for them to repeal their decision or have any way to get their dog back, nor does it say that you're going to take the dog. I mean, I see a lot of problems in that legislation. I think it needs to be addressed. And you know, this isn't a problem that's going to be fixed overnight. But I work with Holland and Muridan. They're animal law attorneys in Sharon Center, Ohio. And this is what they do. They work on legislation throughout the state. The ordinance that I brought with myself today is from Cleveland, and it was recently adopted by Cleveland. And it's a very sound ordinance, and it addresses not only tethering, but also caging, and also penning, and also I have information about some breed-neutral ordinances that have been adopted. And I think, you know, we work together. We can, with some education, and you know, we can all come together to something that's good for both the dogs and for the citizens. I mean, I have 8 rescue dogs myself, all of them from humane cases. 7 of them are pit bull terriers. I mean, I stand behind my dogs and I love them, and you know, I want them to be treated fairly. And it hurts me to know that if I were to ever move to Poland Village, that automatically my 7 dogs who have never harmed anyone would be declared vicious for no reason other than that it has a big head or a bulky body or what have you. And I don't think that's fair. I don't particularly like discrimination in any aspect of society, and especially when it comes to my animals. So, and I think we were talking, if this wasn't a dog and we were talking about persons, this wouldn't even be an issue. I mean, but because they're dogs, it is. So I have brought information with me that, you know, I'll give to council at the end of the meeting. You're welcome to look at it. And Ms. Pinello will attend our next meeting. Hopefully there is a next one. And she can go in more depth about changes that Poland Village can enact. And like I said, this isn't an overnight process. I'm not trying to push stuff forward because I want it to be sound, and I want it to be effective, and I want it to be enforceable. Because if you don't have those two things, then it's just printed on paper. So I would love to answer some questions if you have any.
Okay, Jason, I'm sorry. I don't know if I caught. Who are you associated with?
Like I said, I work. I'm board of directors for Falcon Animal Rescue.
Who?
Falcon Animal Rescue.
What's that?
We're a rescue based in Austintown. We handle cats. I'm a member of Nitro's Ohio Army. That's where we talk about.
Who pays you?
Nobody pays me.
This is all voluntary on your part?
Mm-hmm. For the past 6 years, this is what I dedicate my life to doing. Because I mean, you hear it may sound cliche, but they really don't have a voice, and there needs to be people out there to speak for them. And I made that decision 6 years ago, and it's difficult, but it's so rewarding when you see the help that these animals get. And then I'm also, like I said, I'm a member of Ohioans Against Breed Discrimination. So,
Okay, so you know Anthony, so you're going to give him all the information that you brought along, right?
absolutely.
Sure. And Anthony, you work together with, you know this? You got enough to do besides worrying about
No,
dogs.
I'm happy to. I know Jason's very passionate. Like I said, I saw him at one of the animal charity events, and he pointed out to me our laws, which I didn't know existed, and that's why I brought it to council. But as you can tell from Jason talking, he's very passionate, and
Yeah.
I thought he'd do a better job of explaining than I could. Whatever council wants me to do, I will look into it and go over with you.
Thank you.
I've been looking into this a little bit about breed discrimination and seeing a lot of statistics about the various animal breeds and vicious attacks across the country. And was wondering if you had any type of statistics on that that you could share with us as well, so that, because right now the numbers that I'm looking at, they look pretty bad for pit bulls as far as the extent of their vicious attacks versus other breeds. So if you could share any statistics you might have, so we can use that in consideration.
You know, I will provide Anthony with some statistics from actually Cleveland Animal Control, which has some very interesting statistics. But I will pose this before I go any further. You know, what is a pit bull? What is a pit bull terrier? I mean, it really comes down to, when you hear about these in the media, you know, this dog that has a big head or even looks like a pit bull terrier, the headline reads, "Pit bull mauls chow," or "Pit bull mauls elderly woman." You know, a lot of times these dogs aren't what you would say are your prototypical pit bull. They just have a little bit of pit bull terrier in them. Does that make them bad dogs? No. Is the majority of attacks pit bull terrier associated? Yes. But you never hear the rest of the story, because that's not what gets the headlines. The only thing that gets, it's pit bull attacks, pit bull attacks. Well,
Anthony, we know that the anatomy of a pit bull has jaws like a vice, right? They got, when they grab a hold of somebody, you're...
Anatomically speaking, a pit bull terrier's jaws are no different than...
Oh, that ain't what I heard. Are you sure? Okay, all right.
If you have a dog's jaws or a dog's jaws.
All right, excuse me, Jason, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call of members.
Mr. Donovan? Here. Attorney Glimmer? Here. Mr. Mazur?
Here.
Mrs. Cerny?
Here.
Mrs. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Yash?
Here. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the orders of the day and continue in our caucus.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sorry about that. Good.
Councilmember, if I could continue, you know, when I was a kid, I would see images of pit bull terriers hanging from poles, suspended with the notion that their jaws, you know, would lock. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. And, you know, a lot of people were led to believe, but anatomically speaking, like I said, they're no different than any other dog. Do they have strong jaws? Absolutely. They're a large dog. So do Rottweilers, so do Shepherds. But, yeah, the notion that their jaws lock is a misconception. And, yeah, I mean, any veterinarian can talk to you about, you know, the structure. It's just a canine. So.
Well, if you could just provide those statistics that I asked for to possibly counter the things that I've been reading, because, again, it's pretty indicting on pit bulls. And if you could provide that would be great.
As far as getting the information for Mr. Dapolito, because I don't have sound numbers with me now.
Oh, no, you know, when it's convenient for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason, were you done?
Yep.
You mentioned that you've worked with a couple of attorneys on this, and I wondered if you could tell us, is there anyone in our area who has changed legislation because of what's happening?
Well, actually, two municipalities have, Youngstown and Campfield.
So Canfield did.
Yeah, so Canfield's different than Poland. Canfield actually had it stated that no one living in the city limits of Canfield could own, possess, or harbor a pit bull terrier, whereas Poland, you have, if you own, possess, or harbor a pit bull terrier, you have to carry so much insurance. So what Canfield did is they replaced that language with a breed-neutral language. And now, Poland, the insurance aspect of it, I just don't understand. It's not protecting the citizens. I mean, because what it's essentially saying is if I'm affluent and I have the money, then I can have a pit bull terrier. I could have 2. I could have 3, as long as I can afford to pay State Farm my premium each year. It doesn't say anything how I care for my dog. It doesn't say anything how I have to treat my dog. I mean, how is that protecting the citizens of Poland? I don't see it as it being. On the counter, I would say that somebody that perhaps isn't well off and is a very good owner, and they can't afford the owner's insurance, and they're precluded from owning what is a very beautiful dog. And we should really look into that, because
I think Jason, and I talked to Mark Fortunato, the law director in Canfield, and I thought that the state law had required individual villages and townships to change, and it does not. It allows the village and township to decide on its own. So my perception is this: even though it's not incumbent upon council to change the law, why would council want to change a law that would protect those from a breed that has demonstrated, even though it may be, we'll get into numbers, I guess, but maybe small, maybe not so small, but why would council want to change a law about a breed that has demonstrated to be at least a little bit dangerous, if not cared for, or if not whatever correctly? Why would council want to take that measure to change an ordinance that hasn't ever been challenged or hasn't ever been discriminatory against any pit bull in Poland Village? Is that a fair way to sum it up?
yeah, and
You got to be careful here, because take a look. What's our mascot? Poland Bulldogs.
I mean, and the bulldog, it falls under the pit bull test, Staffordshire Terrier. I never even thought about that, but
Yeah.
That would be the question. Why would we want to do that when we don't have to? Why would we do that now?
I mean, I think in life we all do things that we don't have to, and we do them because it's the right thing to do. And in 2012, when Ohio removed pit bull terriers as being listed as vicious, Anthony is correct. That does not require municipalities to necessarily not designate them as vicious, such as Poland does. But as I said, I mean, the goal of, in my mind, city government is to protect citizens and have laws in place to protect them. And right now, I look at your dog ordinances, and I don't see that. I don't see any protection being afforded. This insurance requirement, I don't understand, and perhaps if there's somebody in council that could explain to me how that is going to protect the citizen. I mean, you have nothing that says that somebody can't own a pit bull terrier. That's not there. It's just that they have to have this insurance. So how is that protecting anybody? I mean,
So mostly what you're seeking is a breed-neutral stance. That would be your top priority.
not only that, but I would want something in place that, it holds these owners accountable, okay, and protects the people. I mean, there's so many municipalities that have adopted ordinances that address a myriad of issues that are related to dog attacks of, huskies, shepherds, what have you, and they do protect the people, and they're easily adopted. And the great thing about it is that they're enforceable. And I don't know how many actually went through Section 618. It's actually 618.01. And then the other problem I have is, if my dog was designated as vicious and I didn't carry the insurance, you have no mechanism in place for me to recover my property. And sadly, under state law, Ohio, dogs are property. And so, I bring that into question as well. But yeah, I would get the statistics, and they are going to be skewed.
They're alarming.
Yes, but like I said, I do have, when you go to Google, and this is people, I have a strong following on social media, and I post a lot about them, and I often laugh when somebody post a statistic about pit bull terriers, and I know what they did. They Googled pit bull, whatever, the first thing that pops up, some sponsored ad by dogsbite.org, what have you.
I avoid sponsored ads.
What's that?
I avoid sponsored ads.
Yeah, I'll get you sound statistics, and specifically this one from Cleveland, which has a lot of pit bull terriers. And it'll show you that, prior to the ban and then after the ban being lifted, that there's actually been a decrease in the amount of bites. And, it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm not here to get anybody hurt, and I don't want to see anybody, I don't want to see a child bitten, I don't want to see an elderly person maimed, but, I would feel terrible if that did happen and there was not a mechanism in place to protect these people, and right now I just don't believe you have it, and you do have the power to put something in place that can.
Thank you.
Good for you, for a volunteer.
What's that?
For a volunteer, good for you.
I think everybody needs to give back to the community, and that's what I've chosen to do. So I saw these young people behind me. They're all excited about having to come to government and witness to it.
Yeah, right.
But what I would like to do is, it's not going to take me very long to get the requested information and to also bring up, I don't know if we want to take a two-pronged approach to this, if we want to look at the tethering as a separate issue and the 618.01 is a separate issue. I don't know how council wishes to proceed. I can get all the information and put it together in one presentation, or I can do these in separate meetings.
Our process would be the legislation committee would look at it first.
One time, if you want Jason to get it to me, and I'll give it to legislation.
Yes. Yeah.
Get it to me, if you would,
Okay.
Jason. I'll give it to legislation, and then we'll present it to council. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. And I'll give you all the statistics that you require. I'm very neutral. I'm going to make sure that everything I give you is up straight, and even if it may not look so great, but I also want to get stuff behind the scenes and give you some background.
We're going to be open-minded. We'll be open-minded about it.
Okay, thank you.
So, Jason, I have a question as the zoning administrator. Have you come across any legislation that limits the number of animals that a household may possess?
Absolutely. In the city of Youngstown, for one lot, you're allowed, I believe it's 3 dogs. Okay? If you have a double lot, then I think it's 6. So, yeah, there are, and I think there's other municipalities that do have, maybe even Campbell, it could be Struthers, but there are the ones that do have that. Fortunately, I said I live in Boardman and I have 8, and that doesn't exist where I have. But yeah, certainly Youngstown does, and it's I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I have kind of mixed emotions about it. It really comes down to how the animals are living. And yeah, I could get that information as well from Youngstown if you're interested in that.
Please
but
include it.
I hesitate in trying to limit the number of pets that a person has, because if they're a responsible pet owner, I mean, what are we doing penalizing them for rescuing 4 dogs? But yeah, like I said, I'm going to get everything together for you, and I'll give it to Anthony, and however council wants to proceed, I'm all for it. And Miss Pinella, like I said, she works in Sharon Center, so that's about an hour and 15 minutes away. But certainly she could come to a council meeting and she could answer any legal questions that you have. I can also get in touch with the Humane Society, have them come in and talk to you about the effects of tethering, and also what they did to help Canfield repeal their pit bull ban as well. So, is there any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.